show you a really easy way to do a shag haircut today. We're going to start by working on our doll, and we've cut it into 4 sections. The side, the back, the other side, and then the top. So with these 4 sections, what we're going to be doing is we're going to create a shag haircut that goes for something nice and flat on top, and then the lengths come longer through the bottom and the back. So guys, if you want to come a little closer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my first section. So my first section is this box that we have on the top. So I'm just going to be working on the box on the top, okay? So you create a little square box on the top, and this is where you're going to start your first section. You're going to start it in the middle of this first section as well. Now the really cool thing about this is what we're going to be creating is we're going to be creating the length in the front. So our fringe area, or our bangs area if you're in America, is going to be created from the first section we have. So that box that you see in the middle gets divided into one center panel, okay? And this center panel is what's going to create the length in the front. So when we start this, we really have to decide what kind of length do we want to see in the front of the face from now. So if we look at it, I can start to think, where do I want these lengths to be placed? So by taking the front hair and bringing it down, I can start to decide where I want the length to sit in the front. So discussing with your client the kind of lengths they want to see before you start, you can do a little check, make sure you're happy with the length you're creating, and once you're happy, we can start to create a nice flat cutting angle. So this is going nice and square from the beginning on the top here. So what we're looking to do is to just create a nice flat square cutting angle with that first section. And so what we do is we bring sections from the back into the front, and we're going to continue with that square cutting line. So guys, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know if you're liking what you see. Don't forget to share, and also if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Pop them in a comment down below, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have today. So what I'm doing is I'm just continuing in the same vein. So I'm taking in sections and I'm continuing to cut a nice square cutting angle. So guys, I really like this technique. I think it's super easy to follow. I found it one of the easiest and best ways. One really nice thing about starting from the top is a lot of the times people kind of guesstimate where they're going to end up at the end. And by starting on the top, you really know the length you're going to end up both internally and at the front. So what I am going to do is I'm actually going to take it a little bit shorter in the front at the end just by chipping into it. But as a general idea, I'm quite happy with this sort of length we have. I might not even have to really cut much out of it. So once we've done that, we've got our first box in the middle and we've taken one center section. What we're then going to do is we're going to pull this box to one side. Okay, what I am going to do is put in a little bit of leave-in conditioner, which helps as like a priming or a cutting lotion, depending on which country, what you call it. Today I'm using a little bit of Milkshake leave-in conditioner. And so guys, you've done your first section in the middle here. You've pulled it over to one side, and now we're going to start to connect it. So we come over to the widest point of the head. So we're kind of working from the middle first, and then we're going to work our way towards the front hairline, and then from that center section towards the back. So if we look, what we've got is we've got a nice little section in the middle here, just at the widest point of the head. Okay. So once we've got that first section, we're using the center as a guideline, and we're going to be cutting, again, a nice square cutting angle. So it's both square on the vertical and on the horizontal. So no matter how you look at this, if you're looking at it from this way or from this way, everything is going to be cut square. Now remember, the center is your guideline, and the most important thing about guidelines is do not cut them. So once you've already created a guideline, you have to be very careful not to cut your guideline. And it sounds quite trivial, but sometimes we do have to think about it. So again, I have the center that I've cut already, I have my new hair, and I'm looking to connect the sides into the bit that I've cut already. And so that way we're saving our center section, we're saving our guideline, and we're working forwards with each section. So I find this concept, it's a really nice, easy concept because everything is just square. Everything from both front to back, from left to right, is just cut nice and square across. Okay? And we work all the way till we get to the front. And once we've reached the front, we have to remember to go back and cut the back sections. As remember, we started this in the middle. So we just take the front in, lifting it up, and cut it in. So now we've gone for something nice and square, which works, it's from the other side, which works to kind of create this flat squareness through the top. We've worked from the middle forwards, and now we're going to be working from the middle backwards. So by starting with that nice square section on top, cutting a center section square, and connecting it horizontally with some nice square cutting lines. So everything's really square with this haircut. And I really like that as a concept. It always looks strong as well. So they're a lot of fun to do. And we're just looking again to connect that square to the center. So I think there's always a lot of different ways to do these haircuts, and I think all of them have their merits. I just personally found this to be one of the quickest and the easiest ways conceptually. So for those of you that are just tuning in, I'm Michael from Slate. We've done a center section nice and square. We've then connected across square, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do the second side. So again, we're just going to be removing a bit of hair from the center and moving it over to one side. We're going to put in a little bit of priming lotion to make the hair nice and soft for us, a little bit of Milkshake leave-in conditioner. And what I'll do is once I finish this, it's going to be much easier for you guys to see that top section, and I'll give you a little bit of a recap before we move on to the sides. Okay, so again, we have that center section as our guideline, and we're coming across nice and square. And so we're working from the widest points of the head, and then we're moving ourselves forwards. And then once we've done the front, we'll move backwards. But it doesn't really matter where you start, as long as the end result is everything is nice and square. Guys, let me know if this is making sense. Let me know how you're doing. Give us a thumbs up if you're liking this. I want to hear you guys try this and send me a picture. Let me know how easy it was for you to create as well. Beautiful. And then the last section from the front. Right. And so again, we can start to see it all kind of coming together now. So once I've worked from the center of this haircut, the widest point of the head, excuse me, forwards, I'm now going to be working to the back. And what I'll do is I'll show you this sectioning in a second with my comb, because it will be a little bit easier to understand. Okay. So all we're looking to do is connect the center and go straight across. So that initial guideline really gave us everything that we needed for the rest of this haircut. So if I just comb this a little bit forwards, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab it to try and show you guys that we started with a little box. Okay, George, do you want to come a little forwards and just show everyone this? So we started off with a little box, okay, all the way through, a little box. And what we did was we took a center section, we lifted it up, and we cut it square across. We then started on the widest point of the head and came across and connected both sides afterwards horizontally, working forwards, nice and square, and then from the widest point, walking back. All right, just give me a second. Okay, great. So what we've done is we've actually created the length that we're going to have in the top, and now we're going to start connecting both the sides and the back. And so how I do this is I use the top as a guideline for the sides. So by making sure the hair is nice and wet, so it's really easily to manage, what we're going to be doing is we're going to take a guideline from the top, which is allowing us to connect to the bottom. Now when we connect the sides, we can either cut a cutting angle, we could lift it all the way up, which means that the ends are going to be really long. We could go down a little bit, which means it's going to be more of a layered feeling, but slightly shorter in the bottom. We can go for something flat, which gives it more of a mullety feel, or we could even go in, which then it would create graduation. But we're still looking for that shaggy feel, so we're looking for something which comes out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a tiny bit of hair from the top. So we take a 1 millimeter section from the top, and we bring it down. And this is our guideline. So this little bit of hair that I've added in is my guideline for the sides. Now, if you think about it, because the top is balanced, what happens when you use the top corners as a guideline is they're both the same on both sides. So if you use this as a guideline and you use the other side as a guideline, what you'll have is balance at the end of it. So we're going to be bringing in the sides first. So we'll just comb this hair down.
So we have people tuning in from South Africa, from San Francisco, Charlotte, Florida, and we have one asking, where are we tuning in?
Where are we tuning in from? So I'm actually in a beautiful island called Cyprus right now. We've come here to do a few classes, and then I'm taking myself off to Greece to do 3 courses, and then back to London. So it's nice that the world is opening up and we're allowed to travel again a bit and teach internationally. So I'm really happy. Our academy is based in London, but I hear that you said we've got some South Africans watching, so I have to give a mention out to Scar. We're doing a live webinar with Scar on the 7th of June, day before my birthday, so I'm very excited. And we're going to be going live for you. And the live will include both lectures, hands-on head sheets, 3 different looks on a doll, and it's all about cutting hair, but with a bespoke cause. So actually cutting the hair with a bespoke feeling in mind for your clients. So this, what I'm teaching, is very much a technical haircut, let's say, but it's not so much on the suitability and how we can personalize this. So we go into much more detail with that when we have our lectures. So it'll be really exciting. So anyone who wants to join the webinar on the 7th of June can book the tickets at slatehair.com, and we'll drop that in a link afterwards as well. Cool. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm connecting the lengths that we've created on top with my cutting angle going down. So what we have is we have length to play with on the bottom, which connects from the length that we have on top. And as we're working through, we're using the top as a guideline. So the top is now a guideline for the rest of the haircut. Beautiful. So I'm wanting this to come quite nice and short in the front, and generally after that it gets longer as we get to the back, because the back has more hair. So as we go further back, we get more and more hair to play with. So one thing I will teach you, and something that's really important, is to remember the angle that your hands are taking when you work. Because what will make one side different from the other side is when you do not have consistent cutting angles. So what I mean is, if this side you do this and then the other side you come in, you'll find that there's a difference in the haircut. It's not balanced. So by keeping an eye on your cutting angle in that way, you give more certainty to your balance within your haircut. All right? So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be moving on to the back section of this. So I'm just going to clip away the back for a bit more safety. Great. So what we've done is we've got that top section, which is our guideline, remember? So this top bit is our guideline. And what we're doing is we're connecting it as we go down. So we're using the pre-cut top as a guideline for where we want to see the length in the bottom. So by combing the hair out, we're looking for that guideline from the top to peek out, and then we're connecting it up and again. So as the hairline gets lower at the bottom, so does the length of what we're cutting. So the length is actually getting longer and longer as we head towards the back, because the back has more hair to play with. It has more hair because the hairline is lower. I hope that's making sense to everyone. Guys, as always, if it is making sense, give us a thumbs up. If not, drop us a comment. We'll be happy to go over anything and everything. So again, coming and connecting it to that top where our guideline is and working our way down. And then we have our last section.
So we have from Sandra. I have seen many of your lives and I love the way you teach. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra. It means a lot. Actually, this is our 3rd year anniversary of doing Hairbrain Lives, believe it or not. 3 years. So time flies and we have a lot of fun. So a big love to the Hairbrain community for 3 years of monthly lives. It's a lot of live videos actually. So yeah, it's been a great journey from, our company as it was much younger and smaller back then, and how it's grown. And we've done lives in different countries around the world. And yeah, it's been a really, really amazing journey. So a big love to all the Hairbrain community for always watching and supporting. So nice, so now we've got a little bit of the length building in the back, but we've taken the top as our guideline. Now what we really want to do here is make sure that when we do the second side, we have balance. And so the easiest thing, as we said, is to use the top as a guide. And the way we do this is we take a section from the top and we bring it into the bottom as a guide. So by taking the hair from the top and bringing it over, we're using the top as a guideline for the rest of the haircut. So it's something I really like. It's very simple. We've done the top all nice and square. We've gone across all nice and square. And what we're doing now is the hair that's falling over to the side, we're using it as a guideline to work our way across. Now what I did was I stood in the back and I had my fingers like this to cut it. Now the truth is that if I come across and I change my finger angle, it's quite hard to get the same consistency. So if you had my fingers down on this side, the best thing to do is to actually turn the doll around, and then I'm standing in the same position, so my hand position hasn't changed. You see, this would be on the outside of the fingers, this would be on the inside. So we want to make sure that the elbow's down, the elbow's up, so we're keeping it consistent. So my elbow was up on this side, and so what I want to do is when I do the second side, I want to make sure that my elbow is up again. That way it's much easier for me to keep consistency in the cutting angle. I hope that makes sense, and I think that's a really good tip for everyone. because I believe balance is a very, very important part of cutting hair. Great. So what we're doing is we're taking that first center section again, moving the hair out of the way, finding the initial length that we connected it to, so the top is our guideline. We can see the pre-cut hair there. Yeah, and then what we're looking to have the same cutting angle that we did on the first side, and we're working our way down. Okay, so you can either work from the back to the front or the front to the back. It doesn't actually matter. I tend to alternate depending on what side I'm working on, but in this case I'm working from the center back and then I'll work forwards. So nice small sections, and again just thinking about connecting it from the top and coming down.
So Evelyn, Kelly, my birthday was yesterday, 1st of June. We are Geminis, Michael.
Yeah, you know what, it's funny, I feel like a lot of hairdressers are Geminis. I keep meeting Geminis everywhere. In one of the first salons I ever worked in, I literally think like 80 or 90% of the staff were all Geminis. So it was fine, providing they were all in the same mood. But thanks for tuning in, Evelyn. I know Evelyn's booked on a course with us in London, so our next course in July, which is sold out. So thank you very much, Evelyn. And we look forward to seeing you. We can celebrate our birthdays together, which is always nice and fun. Great. So again, as we're working through, maintaining the length in the bottom, working our way up, and then the last section before we move to the front of this. So what I'll do is, when I finish this, I'll just do a little bit of a recap again for those of you that are just tuning in.
Yes, after Gemini's, I don't know, I could say band. Have another one now. Good. Sandra, my birthday is today.
Happy birthday, Sandra. Very nice. I love it. If you were here, I'd give you a birthday haircut. But I'd let you choose, don't worry, I wouldn't treat you like a doll. So we're moving forward now, and once I finish this, I'll be able to go over how we've connected both the sides with the top. So I really like this because I think it's an easy concept. I like the fact that we have something very nice and square on top, coming from any angle you look at, taking this hair from the top down, and then what we do is we use that first bit of hair from the top as a guideline. The more flat you do it, the more graduated it feels. The more you bring the hair out, the more layered it is in the bottom. So it's a really cool, really fun technique to work with. So it's really nice. So now we have to do the back, and the back is actually the same thing that we've done so far. So what we're going to use is we're going to use the top, as always, as a guide. So the really cool thing is by cutting the top first and letting the hair fall down to the sides and the back, it allows you to connect the hair with balance. So it means that the top makes the balance on both the sides and the back. Sometimes if you start in the back or you start on one side, the balance becomes a bit harder. But starting on the top, it's always easy. So again, we take a little bit of hair from the top, so a little millimeter of hair from the top, and we use that top section as a guideline to the rest of it. So the top is a guideline for the rest of the haircut. So we're going to take a nice center section, move the hair out the way, and then we're going to start using the center section as our guide. Now here we don't actually have a guideline for the angle, so we know that we're connecting it to the top because we have a little bit of hair in the top that's already cut, So the top cut hair is my guideline, but we don't know here if we want to do the same angle or if we want to make it longer or we want to go flatter. It's up to you. There's different effects. The higher you go, the more layering you're going to have at the bottom, the more length. The lower you go, the shorter it's going to be. The more vertical you are, the more graduated it feels and the more length you lose. And then if you go the other way, it is actually graduation. So here we have to decide ourselves a little bit what kind of angles we want. And that depends on what feeling you're going for, what your client wants to see, what kind of hair they have maybe, density, texture. So these are the kind of things that you have to think about when you work. But as a concept of these 4 sections and how they're then cut, I find them really easy and fun to use. And by changing the cutting angle, even a millimeter, you can actually have a real large variety of different end results. So the fun thing is doing the same haircut, but slightly changing your cutting angle will give you a new haircut. And so by personalizing those little things, like how flat or how heavy or how layered you go, you can really personalize these haircuts to your client's wishes.
So Mike, if you change the angle at the back from what you used to do, how you connect the 2 sides that they are already with the angle?
Because you put everything back, it will connect. And now if you change your angle a lot, it will actually cut a bit off the sides. So, you have to be careful if you don't want that, but you have to almost look at it like 2 separate haircuts then. Maybe the back's like a really cool flat cutting angle, and then the sides are longer. Maybe it feels more graduated in the back and short, but the sides end up being, longer and have a disconnected feel. So it really depends, the sky's the limit, but obviously, having that vision of what you want to achieve from the beginning is really important. And then after that, you can change it up. So if you're thinking, I want to see something that's a little bit flatter, a little bit different, I like a bit of length here, all you do is change the angle and you've got a new haircut. So I think always with these square sections, because it's all about control, you can really control what you're building and decide yourself. I find playing though a lot, especially on dolls, is great because, obviously you can have more ideas and you can see how different results you get. So when it comes to doing your clients, you're more inspired, you have more ideas, more ways of getting where you want to get to. So I found when I learned more about hairdressing, my creativity grew because I could visualize the haircuts better that I was creating. So I think having a practice and seeing how these things result really will help you to be more creative with your work. So at this point I'm going to bring everything back and just make sure we don't have any long bits hanging out. All right.
So we have a question from Sharon. What is the leave-in product you use on your mannequin?
Yeah, of course. Cool, so let me show you. So we use the Milkshake leave-in conditioner. It's a really good primer when you want to soften the hair and also when you want to comb through really damaged hair. So anyone that has damaged hair or you just want to help get a primer in, then this is a really good move. So we've done one side and what we're going to do is we're going to be working through the second side now. Really nice and easy. So, bringing in the second side, moving the hair away, and what we're doing, remember, is we're bringing the top as a guideline into the bottom. So we have the top hair that's already been cut, and we're connecting it in to the bottom. So for me, these are really cool as well because, let me move over so you can see better. So the cool thing is these ones, they're very popular right now, aren't they? This kind of like shaggy or mullety feel to them. They have a really, really modern feel, and I really enjoy doing them in the salon a lot these days too. So having a quick way to do it, I find, really helps me in a salon situation. You've just got more time to chat with your client, think about products, and just get that basic shape in quickly.
So, question
Yeah.
from Sandra.
Yeah.
You have the same month birthday.
Nice.
What should your body position be for sectioning in the back?
So really, I'm doing this very wrong now. What I did was I've come over to this side and I've changed my hands just because I want you to see better. So normally when I did the first side, I was in a much more comfortable position with my elbow up, coming down. You can see that when you stand, your hands naturally kind of do what they want to. So if I want to layer with my arm up, I have this more of a layered cutting angle. It's just much easier for me. But if I want to do graduation, it's quite difficult. So what I do is I bring my elbow down and all of a sudden I'm graduating. So actually the body position followed by the elbow position is really important in this case. So I kind of wanted to stay on this side while I was working, keeping my elbow high, but I felt like it might have been hard for everyone to see. So I felt like I should change it, but now that I've said it, I want to stay on this side. I prefer it.
Feel free.
Yeah, so I think this is it, you know, looking a lot at your elbows, but you can literally just stand wherever in your kitchen, I don't know, and just put your hands in different positions and see, you know, put your elbow up and be like, okay, that's definitely more of a layered feeling for me. What if I bring my elbow down? That feels good, like graduation. I can't really layer, that feels weird. And again, you can work on this, so the elbow up but on the out or the inside of the fingers. This one you can see it kind of wants to go flat. It can go graduated. Layering is difficult, so you don't want to layer like that. So just by standing there and holding your fingers in different positions, you'll kind of get an understanding of what's easy and what's not. I mean, we go into this stuff in really much greater detail in our classes with our lectures and everything as well. So, you know, I think just having a good understanding, but, you know, people can show you these things and they can teach you, but you have to learn your own body as well, because not everyone's body is the same. You know, I had a very good teacher who saw me trying to cut hair, and they said, what are you doing? You're going to have back problems in a few years. And I said, well, that's what I saw these guys in the video do. And they said, you know, you can't cut like other people just because they do it. You know, it's their bodies are different. So you've got to really feel for yourself what works for you, what's comfortable. I think, you know, feeling comfortable with the way you stand is more important than getting a perfect angle, because, you know, we work hard and we bust our butts off for clients, so we need to make sure we look after ourselves as well.
Got a new one.
Good.
From Deborah. Are you bringing each section to the center?
No, so I'm not. So what I'm actually doing is I'm over-directing to the previous. So we're going for something that's more of a square feel. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing each section to the previous at this point. But that's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. Sandra?
No, that's Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah.
Sandra said thank you for the answer before.
You're welcome, Sandra, and thank you, Deborah. Yeah, so what we're doing is we're just over-directing to the previous, which means we have more of a square feeling with it. So I'm really liking the way this is coming together now. So it has that nice feel, super textured, super layered on top. Give it a nice kind of center parting. Remove the hair over.
Thank you from Deborah too.
Yeah. So this is looking really nice. So it's got that kind of softish feel to it, and I really like the playful bits. So what we've done is just a little recap. Is we've cut the top nice and square, and then we've cut it across square as well. So from every angle you look at, this is just nice and square. We've taken 1 millimeter from the top, from both sides and the back, and we've brought it over to the bottom. We've then used that top hair as a guideline to come across and cut a layered cutting angle. Now, I've gone for something quite tight, so it's ended up quite short. If you want this longer, you can just lift it up. The more you lift it up, the longer the outlines get. The more you go in, the shorter they get, the more graduated it feels. And again, bringing the hair from the back, and just again, cutting it into your cutting angle. And again, the more flat you go, the more graduated it feels. The higher you go, the more length you end up in the bottom. So you could literally put all the hair up if you wanted to save all the outlines. That's looking really cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of product in and I'm going to start to dry it as well.
Comment from Gerard Scarpacci. Looking great, Michael.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. And we have to thank Gerard, obviously, for our 3-year anniversary of doing Hairbrand Lives. So we're very grateful for the platform. It's been so nice to share with everyone. And when we travel internationally, it's really nice to hear people that say they've been tuning in and watching with us as well. So really big love to Gerard for creating a community for us to share with other craft hairdressers. Cool, so I'm putting in a little bit of shaping foam now. And after I've put in the shaping foam, I'm just going to start to do a little bit of air drying with it. So for those of you that didn't see what I used, I've just used a little bit of shaping foam from Milkshake. Cool. So, I'm going to start to move the hair around just to get it in the kind of position I want to see it drying in, and then I'm going to grab myself a diffuser and I can start to have a little play with it as well. I'm going to move the hair into the general position I want to see it in, and I'm just going to secure it now with a little grip for a moment. Beautiful. So I like the rest to have quite a loose feel to it, so I'm not going to touch it too much, but I just want to secure that out the way, and then we're going to start to dry it for you as well. But I'm also really liking the head shape that we're getting from this. So by working inwards, we've got a really nice head shape. I'm just going to grab a diffuser. Okay, so what I've done is I've added a little diffuser to my hairdryer, but what I find is if you have what they call a sock dryer, that also works really, really well. So, one thing I like to do is I like to use my fingers to kind of create a little bit of movement and texture. I try and not touch the hair too much, but I just go into the roots and I just move my fingers, And just by moving my fingers, it gives a little bit of movement to the hair. So I don't want to interrupt the hair too much, but I like to give it a little bit of movement. So what I'm doing here is I'm going with my fingers inside and then I'm curving my fingers in. And what this does is it curves the head backwards. So it's just going fingers first towards the face, turning my fingers towards myself again and then pulling to the back. And this creates that nice curvature we see. So what I wanted to just show you guys as a last concept as well to think about is it really depends on what you're thinking you want to do. You saw that we had the initial length in the front and that's how we started. So the most important thing here was deciding that initial length in the front from our first section that we took from the center, which really kind of dictated the rest of the haircut to us. And so I really like that first section we did really defined the haircut for us there afterwards. And so starting with a really clear plan of where you want the lengths to be when you start is going to really help you create this look. And again, it can be done in so many different ways, so that's why I like this, because it's very versatile. It can be anything from a very tight, short mullet to a really long shag if you bring everything up. So to give you a little recap as well, what I'll do is I'll just explain the sectioning. So we started off with a box in the top. We cut the first section square depending on the length we wanted in the front. We then connected across horizontally all the way to the front and the back. So that initial box was cut square across. And what we then did was we connected with 1 millimeter from a guideline from the top. So the top length came down and created the sides. We then connected. Now, if we had have brought it up more, we would have had more length. If we go down more, less length. And the more towards vertical we go, the more of a graduated feel it has. We also did the same from the back, connecting through from the back, bringing it down as a guideline, and then deciding the angle, what we wanted to keep.